I just returned from a 3-week holiday in France with lots of sun. It wasn't all beaches and croissants. We go there every year to help my father with the grape harvest. And for me, returning home after these last few weeks in the sun marks the beginning of fall or autumn, depending on where you live, and the need to reassess my skincare routine and see what needs to be changed to cater to the specific needs my skin has when summer ends and the leaves start turning. While the backbone of my routine stays the same year round, there are some products I rotate in and out and some things I focus on more in terms of skin concerns. And because I'm a really organized person, I keep my skincare in baskets. A morning basket and an evening basket. And a to-test basket, but that will be ignored today. So let's empty them out and see what will be replaced and what can stay. If you're new here, welcome. I am Dr. Anne, a physician passionate about skincare and well-aging. Obviously, all skin is different, and so other issues you'll have now that summer is over. But very common complaints are hyperpigmentation, dullness, and congestion from the sweat, sunscreen, and maybe holiday indulgences. I'm going to address them quickly, but won't go into too much detail on each problem. Most of them have dedicated videos on here already. Hyperpigmentation is pretty common, especially if you have reached a certain age, and usually can't be prevented completely by sun-smart behavior, as the spots never truly disappear and tend to darken at the first bit of sun. Fall is the time to focus on fading them again. I have a whole playlist dedicated to hyperpigmentation here, but in short, ingredients like retinoids, vitamin C, alpha-arbutin or hydroquinone, tranexamic acid, licorice root extract, and alpha-hydroxy acids are the ones to look for, obviously paired with diligent sunscreen application. For dullness, it is hydration you want to focus on, as well as exfoliation to give the skin back its smoothness. You have ingredient overlap to treating hyperpigmentation here, as alpha-hydroxy acids and retinoids work for both. And for hydration, obviously your usual humectants are what you should look for, as well as richer formulations. Congestion is again addressed very well with acids and retinoids, although here salicylic acid, commonly referred to as beta-hydroxy acid as opposed to the alpha family, is probably more effective. The last concern I want to mention that might not yet be as important as it will be at the end of October, start of November, when the temperatures start to drop, is barrier support. I am not calling it barrier repair, as you would ideally not damage it in the first place. If you did, I have a helpful video here, but autumn and later winter can be difficult for our skin. Let's give it a little love, both with obviously gentle treatment, but also with ingredients like niacinamide, ceramides, and maybe fermented skincare. With these general tips out of the way, what am I changing in my routine? I will continue doing a morning cleanse for a little longer. I usually use water only when it gets colder, but would change my foaming options if they were dripping. As I currently use the Murad Environmental Shield Essential Sea Cleanser and the 107 Chaga Jelly Low pH Cleanser, that both aren't really stripping at all. They can stay, but the Beauty of Joseon Green Plum Refreshing Cleanser is better suited to the really hot weather and will go into storage. Still enough options, so no need to rotate something new in. I will increase my chemical exfoliation to help against hyperpigmentation, and for that the by Wish Trend Mandelic Acid 5% Skin Prep Water will come back. It also contains beta-glucan, panthenol, and Centella asiatica, which check the barrier support box. Mandelic acid is my acid of choice because it is gentler than other AHAs and pretty good at targeting pigmentation. With me using prescription tretinoin, stronger acids are usually too much. The Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA liquid exfoliant will stay, but will probably be reduced from 3 to 2 times a week. And yes, I use both acids the same day, one after the other, so I will exfoliate 3 times a week at max. My vitamin C is a year-round staple and will stay. I use the Geek Gorgeous Sea Glow daily, and I do use it as an eye cream, but that doesn't change throughout the season entirely. It's always my trusted, the Inkey List Caffeine Eye Cream. As long as it isn't really cold, I use sunscreen instead of my moisturizer as last step. Over the summer, I have almost exclusively worn the La Roche-Posay Anthelios UV Moon 400 Invisible Fluid, as there isn't a day I don't leave the house, and it not only offers ideal protection against UVA and UVB, but is also water and sweat resistant, meaning I don't have to worry about it sliding off my face the second I start to move in the heat. It isn't the most comfortable to wear though, so I gladly switch back to my office sunscreens like the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sunrise Plus Probiotics SPF 50 for the cooler and eventually overcast days. That doesn't mean La Roche-Posay will leave their rotation completely, as fall is my preferred time to go for hikes, and you obviously need the best protection you can get then as well. For top-ups during the day, I reach for the Biore UV Aquarich Watery Essence SPF 50, which lives in my purse. So no drastic changes, just a little more emphasis on exfoliation to target the sunspots and more gentle, respectively more hydrating formulas. Just like I keep up my morning cleanse for now, I will do a double cleanse most nights, but will switch from cleansing oils to cleansing balms. The Skin 1004 Madagascar Centella Light Cleansing Oil conveniently is empty anyway, so it is time to open up a new tube of the Inkey List Oat Cleansing Balm. It is formulated with colloidal oatmeal, which is soothing, and I find it effective to remove makeup, but still to rinse clean should I not want to follow up with a second cleanse. As second cleanse option, I use one that I also would pick in the mornings, one for each basket, so I don't have to think too hard. Now for the tretinoin nights, which is every other night for me year round. I will follow up with a barrier support serum, my current picks being the Geek Gorgeous Bee Bomb, or an old favorite, the Estée Lauder Advanced Night Repair. That features fermented ingredients, bisabolol, and antioxidants. Both are staples in my routine, so a keep in rather than a new addition. Then a plain face cream, currently the almost empty Evergreen 730 Daily Moisture Cream with squalane, and then once everything has absorbed, a thin layer of tretinoin. This is the same I have done through summer. I really don't experiment there. For the off nights though, I add another active, the Inkey List Alpha Arbutin, to specifically target pigmentation, and use that after cleansing and before I use my Niot Copper Amino Isolate Serum 3, again a staple year round. It is more actives in one routine that I usually like. I'm a huge fan of keeping things simple, but the only way I can combine everything I want to use. To keep them as separate as possible, I apply the Inkey List Alpha Arbutin first and the Niot Kais 30 minutes later. That is probably not necessary and some effort, but makes me feel better. My lightweight moisturizers, the Inkey List Omega Water Cream and the Murad Nutrient Charged Water Gel, are rotated out, and two slightly more substantial ones are rotated in, the Dr. G Red Blemish Clear Soothing Cream and the Skin 1004 Madagascar Centella Soothing Cream. Both contain soothing ingredients like Centella asiatica, beta-glucan, niacinamide or ceramides, and are more hydrating without being really heavy. My eye cream is usually the Murad Retinol Youth Renewal Eye Serum, but as this is currently empty, I will focus on using up the Inkey List Retinol Eye Cream instead. And there you have it. Everything changed up and ready to go. No drastic changes, you really don't need to do extreme things just because the season's turning, but a few tweaks to take care of my skin in autumn as best as possible. How does your skincare routine change now that fall is upon us? Please tell me in the comment below. I will link to more videos you might find interesting on the screen and add links to my Instagram, blog and Patreon account in the description box. See you soon. Bye!